Well, good morning everybody, thanks for joining me again. I've come down to the River Dart in this lovely woodland just to find what's left of the autumn colours. I'm not disappointed. Lots of leaves have fallen off the trees, but that means there's this blanket of leaves, and the trees that are still holding on to some yellow and orange leaves really contrast with the background. And of course you get these lovely gnarly moss covered oaks. So as well as coming out to photograph these autumn leaves, I thought I might talk a little bit about being a photographer and YouTuber, and the trips I've been on lately, and where my journey's going with photography. Anyway, before I do that, let's see what we can find, shall we? This photograph here is really nice. Some lovely autumnal colours over there, with the water running past. Maybe I can slow the shutter speed down a little bit. Leaves are moving a little bit, so can't go too slow. Just smooth the water. Got some lovely trees overhanging the river. Lots of leaves on the boulders, which look really nice, with the water running between. And right in the middle of the shot there's a small cascade coming through out of the woodland, and of course some lovely splashes of colour. What's not to like? What a lovely spot to be stood on a Sunday morning. Gonna really take my time, and the more I stand here, the more I see. There's a blue sky, so I don't want to take too much time. I think later on it's going to get too harsh. What I'm hoping, between the gloom and the bright of the day, there's going to be a period where this really lights up nicely. So the sun is starting to come out quite quickly, and I've already taken some images, and just with a polariser on I was able to bring the shutter speed down to 1 and 2 seconds. So, but now the light is getting really bright, I might have to put an ND filter on. Really like the tree that's red and orange over there, and the structure of the branches that just twist out of the leaves. And I think I'm also going to try a panorama of this whole riverbank here and see what that looks like. Well, with this first image, I think I was just dazzled by the colours in that tree. and didn't really think too much about the composition. I don't like the rock on the left hand side in the water, and that left hand side doesn't seem to fit with the rest. I could really do maybe a square crop of the right hand side of the image, and that would look quite nice with the water running through the center diagonally, and all the colors on that side look together, if you like. And the composition of that tree was really nice. Really like the branches that sort of snake around the image. I've put a little bit of an autumn effect on this, just made it a little bit blurry, trying to soften those grey twigs in the background. But I do like the composition of this better. And then this one, just zooming out a little bit more and trying to get some of the river in. I've used the rule of thirds if you like to put the river at the bottom and the tree in the top 2/3. Again, like the colours in this, and maybe could have toned down the contrast and made it a little bit more dreamlike. But not a bad start. Looking at the bank the other side, as I said, I'd like to get a nice panoramic view, trying to get it all in. And there was this little cascade which I thought I'd make as the center point. In the end, I took maybe too many shots trying to get it all in. You can see that's made the panorama curve as the camera's going around from left to right. I don't know what that effect is called. I'm sure someone out there can tell me, but it's no longer straight. But I do still like the image. Most of the leaves had actually already fallen off the trees, and carpeted the bank opposite and the boulders in the river. There were these 3 or 4 rocks that just led your eye across the river to the far bank, and I thought they would make a good shot, especially with the leaves piled up on top of them. So, zooming all the way in, tried to make a feature of those rocks. Only thing I'd change maybe on this image is the green boulder in the top of the shot. I could have darkened that just so your eyes led to the middle of the photograph. That boulder at the top is a little bit of a distraction. But I've got the rest right. At 1 second the water's just nice and smooth. I must admit, walking along the path I can see photographs everywhere. Look at this tree here with all these leaves shining in the sunlight. Now the water's got a lot of reflection on, so I need a polariser. A portrait shot maybe there. Let's get the camera set up. I've actually moved only about 50 metres from where I was before, so I'm not getting very far down this river. Not sure about this shot yet. Let's look in the back of the camera, shall we? So trying to get the composition right is quite difficult. I've tried a wider shot, taking in some of the foreground rocks here, and I'm now zoomed as far in as this 55mm lens will go, just to get more of the actual tree and the leaves. Circular polariser on the front just to cut down the glare, and I'm using the water as the gauge there. As soon as the water starts to go dark, I think I'm just about there. I left some reflections. Then all the shots so far have been at 1 second shutter speed, so I've left it there. ISO 50, f13 at the minute. That looks about right. F14 if I go. Let's just check that focusing again. focus something that's not too far into the shot. Maybe these leaves on the boulders. And let's see what these look like. Well, I took a little bit of time trying different compositions of this tree. This one I'm including the water. At 1 second the water looks nice. Maybe needed a faster shutter speed just for the leaves because they were moving slightly, but I didn't want to have to take 2 shots and then put them together in post. And this was a good compromise, but not sure about that composition. So I moved a little closer, and it included some of the rocks in the water just to lead your eye across the river, and made this into a 4x5 shot, which seemed to suit the composition better. And as you can see, the polarisers really darkened the water in this one, and there was a lot of light coming through the leaves. But in the end, this was probably my favourite composition of this, excluding the water, just making a feature of the tree itself, using the dark trunks of the trees to make the structure of the photograph, with the main one in the middle, just letting the colours of those leaves come through. Those of you that have been following me on YouTube will know we've just been on quite an epic trip all the way from Hamburg, travelling through all the Scandinavian capitals. The only one we missed out was Oslo, and we ended up in Tromsø. Now obviously I've taken my camera along and taken some film and posted that on YouTube, and notices while I'm doing that over the last few weeks, started to lose a few subscribers. So I don't have many, not too fussed about that really. I think I had about 750 before I went on the trip, and then when I came back I think I'd lost about 20-25 subscribers. I guess they're just used to seeing what I was doing before, maybe the Dartmoor stuff. Why am I telling you this? Well, I don't know. When I first saw that, I did obviously start thinking about, well, what am I doing wrong? And very quickly you start thinking about your photography, about what you're putting out on YouTube, and almost wanting those likes, if you like. Everyone wants to be appreciated, don't they? Anyway, it then started to play on my mind that, okay, what should I film next to keep the YouTube followers happy? And I had to stop myself and say, well, you know, why am I doing this? So this is why I'm doing this. Now, I know a lot of my followers actually do like Dartmoor, but this is such a lovely morning. I've taken my time walking up here. Actually got here at 7 o'clock in the morning, half an hour before sunrise, and not walked far, maybe a couple of miles, and it's now nearly 11 o'clock. Taken a few photographs, and the other thing, I haven't seen one single person yet this morning. Just myself, the birds, and some peace and quiet. Really enjoyed just slowing down, watching what's going past, and just enjoying the morning. So, advice to all you YouTubers out there, or photographers, if you're thinking of doing this type of thing, do it for yourself. Remember that. This is a hobby. A good friend of mine that I skydive with for many years, we were actually competing at the national championships, so at quite a high level, and training a couple of times a month, and you get wrapped up in the whole thing. And he often turns around to me and says, just remember, it's a hobby. And by remembering that, you start to enjoy it. Well, I don't know if any of that resonates with any of you out there, but that's my 2 pennies worth on YouTubing and photography. So let's carry on enjoying the day. And as I always say, let's see what we can find, shall we? So I've just come away from the river a little bit, just walking through the woodland, and you can see I'm trying to pick out what's left of these autumn leaves in this dark forest. You can see this tree in the distance with the small trunk that sort of snakes up amongst the other trees. Now I'm going to have to be quick before the light goes, so let's stop waffling and start sorting the camera out. So I'm just taking some photos with the 16 to 55mm on. Don't want to miss this, but I really need to put the telephoto lens on, so let's take a couple of shots and swap lenses. Okay, I'll put the telephoto lens on. Zoomed in, but I'm not quite sure what's going on with the camera. I think I'm just going to try putting a polariser on and see if I can isolate the tree a little bit more. I don't know what effect it's going to have, but let's give that a try. Well, I'm trying that polariser, and it does have some effect, making the background a little bit more brighter and darker. So there must be something that's sort of reflecting. Maybe it's the leaves, don't know. But clearly the polariser will only eliminate reflections. That's why you can see all the damp leaves here. By turning the polariser, cuts down that glare, if you like, and brings the colours out. The sun is getting a little bit higher now, so making these shots a little bit more difficult. With the sun lower, shining through the canopy, that was having a really nice effect. Anyway, if the shot's any good, here it is. Well, I'm not absolutely sure that it is any good. This is one of these images you see, and I don't think my skill level as a photographer is yet good enough to capture what I was imagining. I do like the structure of the little tree, and those sparkling leaves just look so good. I have tried just brightening the shot up a bit, and I've used the autumn effect on this just to blur it slightly. What I'm trying to do is separate the background from the tree, but again, I don't think I've got this right. But it's all about going out with the camera and trying new things. So for this shot I've come a little bit closer to these lovely yellow and orange leaves. What I'm trying to do is get them in sharp focus and blur out all the background, so I need to get closer, open up the aperture on the camera, and yeah, let me show you what it looks like in the back of the camera. So apologies for some of the glare, just shielding the camera a little bit. The sun's just up and to the left, but as you can see, that's shining through those leaves. So I'm up really close, opened the lens up to f2.8, that's as wide as it will go, and then hundredths of a second. I've left it on auto ISO, which is quite good actually. It's at 160, so not bad at all. Focus in really carefully on those leaves, and let's see what that looks like. Well, I really like this image. if only for those lovely bright colours. The open aperture at f2.8 works well, separating the tree from the background whilst leaving the leaves in some reasonable focus. Not everything's pin sharp, but it's good enough. I tried the same image as a square crop, which I think I prefer. I've put a little bit of a vignette on this, taken the exposure down slightly in post-processing whilst leaving the yellows and oranges quite bright. I think this fits probably my style of photography, but let me know what you think in the comments below. This next image, I've not darkened the exposure and not put a vignette on it, so this is more of a natural image of what I was seeing. Still nice bright tree. I like the trunk just to the right of the shot, but let me know which style you prefer. Well, I found another composition that I really like. There's an oak tree that still has quite a lot of bronze leaves on, and it has 3 branches coming out from the side, and there's some distance between them and the bank of the river the other side, and all the leaves have been stripped off the other side as well, so it's almost like a silvery background. Let me try and film some of this in the back of the camera for you. Well, there's the 3 branches I'm talking about, obvious in the middle of the shot there. And as you can see, the background's got that sort of silvery look to it. I can separate the branches and the leaves from the background, and whether I make this a portrait or a square crop, don't know yet, but let's take the photo and then worry about the cropping later on. All I need to do is make sure I have everything in, so I'm just looking around the edges here, making sure the branches don't disappear off the top of the shot or something like that. So when I do crop it, I can just maybe take this tree out on the left hand side, the one on the right hand side. It's a shame there's this one running up the middle here. This one I might try and move around a little bit more and see if I can get a different shot of this, but let's take this while I see it. Well, odd numbers always work, and these 3 branches were no exception. And with those lovely bright coloured leaves with the very cool background, works really well. I could imagine some sort of oriental painting when I was taking this shot, and that's what I've tried to recreate in post-processing, just adding a little bit of a Gaussian blur to this. Well, I think I'm going to call it a day. The sun's quite high in the sky now. I think it must be getting towards midday, and we're starting to lose some of that bright light coming through the leaves. But what a wonderful morning. Hope you didn't mind me having a little bit of a chat about my photography. But as you can see, I'm really enjoying this. So, if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to follow, subscribe to the channel, doesn't cost anything. Give it a like, and hopefully I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now. Cheerio.